Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SIP. I am your host, Jodi Hall, CEO and President of the Mortgage Collaborative. The SIP is a space for fostering collaboration between lender members and our partners. When we think of meeting up for a coffee or an adult beverage, you can guess what is in my mug. It's about catching up and sharing ideas and connecting, much like we do within the TMC network. The vision of the SIP is simple yet impactful. It's a platform to unite partners and members, showcasing real-world case studies where collaboration solves industry challenges. After all, collaboration isn't just part of our name, it defines who we are and our mission to make a meaningful contribution to the industry. So let's all elevate our games together. Thank you all for taking the time out of what I hope is a very busy near month end and joining us. And sponsoring today's showcase is MQMR, the mortgage industry partner of choice for audit, risk, and compliance. And they are represented today by Scott Weintraub. And joining him, and Scott's the VP of Compliance, and MQMR has invited Martin Ford, the CLO of GoPrime Mortgage, an independent mortgage bank headquartered in Apex, North Carolina. I looked it up. I didn't know where it was. And they can showcase their collaboration. Now, someone asked me recently, just a couple of weeks ago on a show about collaborating with who might be your competitor. So today demonstrates the ability for two rivals to collaborate. Martin Ford is a Michigan fan. And for those who know me, know that I am a diehard Ohio State fan, born and raised in Ohio, and we'll leave it there. So welcome to the both of you to the show, to the SIP.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jodi. So excited to be here.
Yep. Awesome. So, Scott, I was fortunate enough to meet MQMR at a TMC conference many years ago. I think it may have been 2016, 17, around there. And since then, everyone that asked me, who do I go to for audit and compliance? I don't have anyone else in my vocabulary. It is MQMR. So Scott, it is so great to see you again. And will you please tell the audience who MQMR is and what they do and the problems that they solve for the industry?
I sure will. First of all, Jodi, thanks so much for having us on. It's always great to see you as well, particularly in your new capacity, which is good. TMC's in such great hands with you. And Martin, always a pleasure to see you and be on with you today and talk about how we've collaborated with you and how we could bring that same collaboration to all of you who are listening. So I'm just going to start by just saying this one time that MQMR, as Jodi mentioned, stands for Mortgage Quality Management and Research. None of you ever have to say that again. It takes much. We're all about efficiency here at MQMR. It's much faster to call us by the acronym, but in case any of you wondered what it stands for. So Jodi mentioned that MQMR helps companies just like Martin's with three major areas: compliance, audit, and risk management. And really, it's all about managing risk for companies in this industry, and we help clients in a variety of ways. So let me just give you a few examples. One way is we all know, particularly in an environment like this one, how compliance, whether it's on the lending side and on the servicing side, can be like an obstacle course, right? With all the different types of federal laws and regulations, state laws and regulations, agency guidelines, all of these things put together, and all of them have one thing in common, which is these requirements change a lot over time, right? Think about the administration we're in now, and a pendulum swings one way, and it can just as easily swing another. But no matter what way it swings, there's a lot of laws and rules on the books that companies like Martin's and like yours need to follow. And what MQMR is someone in your corner. Not to come in and say, ooh, we found something or we gotcha. We come in to say the opposite, which is we're trying to help you not only stay compliant, but to help your business thrive and succeed. So how do we do that? Just to give you a good couple of examples, one thing we do is we can be an extension of your compliance department. So whether it's really thin or whether it's big, we can be that second set of eyes. We can be that expertise that you need to answer questions, even at the individual loan level or at the policy or process level. Are we interpreting this correctly? Are we doing the right thing at our company? We can help you with that. Or is your company going through an examination or audit, which these days could be many of them at once? We don't know many clients who are only going through one. We know clients who are going through many of them all at the same time. Do you need help before, during, or after those examinations? Another example of something that's always top of mind with regulators at every level is fair lending. We have companies that can outsource some or all of their fair lending function to us, including all that data analysis, which can be very complicated and time consuming. It's something we can do for you. On the servicing side, we have that same ability to help you with your compliance all the time, on the daily. Or there's things that are required, right? Like if you have enough MINs, you need a MERS independent audit every year. All of these things are examples of services we can provide and more. I'll just add one other thing and I'll send it back to you, Jodi, which is a big thing for MQMRs. We like to meet you where you are. And I mean that in two ways. Where you are with your compliance needs. For example, if you're approved with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, you need to have an internal audit program. There's lots of reasons why you need to have one, but that's something else that we can do for you. So if you need something ongoing, or maybe if you need a one-time audit or review or anything in between, we can help you with that. We also want to meet you where you are with your budget needs as well. We know what that's like in any environment, particularly this one. So we'll meet you where you are from what you need substantively and what you need from a budget perspective to get you that value that you want and need. So Jodi, in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Thank you for summarizing that. And I can attest to all of those things if I've used them in the past. And then GoPrime Mortgage is an award-winning, veteran-owned and operated mortgage company with a simple goal to provide a path to homeownership and make a positive impact on the communities that they serve. So Martin, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your role, and who GoPrime is?
Sure. And thank you for, again, allowing me to speak on this platform. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'm going to talk about GoPrime first, just because we're very proud of this company. Our owner, John Rogers, is a vet himself. So that's really what got things started. For him, he was a broker, mortgage broker, worked with veterans, and then decided to own a company. He took up with this organization 20 years ago. In fact, this is our 20th year in the industry. So we're celebrating 20 successful years. It started with VA, then it morphed into, as you know, you can't just do one product. But John was very good. He's a great salesman. He's a great business owner. The company grew and it got outside of the broker, the TPO, into a retail. So we're really a correspondent retail channel. But now we offer a VA Oval loan, which is our broker channel. Which has been, we just started that because the industry has changed. So if you don't change, you're not going to be here. And as a result, we opened up a TPO channel that's been successful. MQMR doesn't know this yet, but they're going to help us audit that as well, probably next year. That'll probably be one of the things that we'll do next year, which is great because we do need the third-party counterparty risk, things of that nature. I came to the company 4 years ago. I came from a very large, I've been in the banking industry, mortgage banking for 20 plus years. So I have the banking understanding, the background there, internal audit, external audits. I've been in the IMB world now for 5 years. And I don't know, and I love the banks. I learned a lot, but I really like the IMB world as well. What helps us is a company like MQMR to really set the path in terms of understanding. Listen, just because we're not a bank, the CFPB and all those, so maybe we're not a direct fire site for them, but we are licensed in 36 states. Now, 60% of our business is in the Carolinas, but we are on the West Coast. We've got success in the Montana region. So we're spread out, which is really well. And what works well for us is we have these states that like to do audits. And if you think those states aren't light on their audits, wrong. So, California is a good testament to that. So GoPrime is moving. We did reach over $1 billion in operations, or excuse me, in fundings a couple years in a row. Now we've taken a fall back, but our goal is we have a 4x4 goal, 400 employees, $4 billion. Now that's obviously going to take us a little longer to get there, but it really doesn't matter to us. The quality and what you said first, Jodi, is the pathway and the customer retention. We have loan officers that do it the hard way. They're branch managers, they're working managers. We've got just under 40 loan officers, so we're moving the dial, and we're going to continue to do that.
That's amazing. Congratulations. And I can relate to all of that, being a recovering lender. Scott, when did you first meet MQMR, and what services were you seeking when you found them? Sorry, that was for Martin.
For Martin, exactly.
Okay. I was going to answer that. No, that's good. So what MQMR had already started before I got here, but it was my job to maintain, because I run the operations. So I have disclosures all the way to post-closing. And obviously there's quite a bit in that range, but I have managers that run the day-to-day. But again, being a smaller company, we're just under 100 employees. So we're pretty flatlined. So we roll our sleeves up. We need to have the balance of understanding what we're missing. So because of some of this data, I won't say that we failed them, but we knew that we could do better. We knew that things were changing. This is not a political statement. This is just a matter of just the facts. Is some administrations are a little bit more sensitive to the audit process, right? So we wanted to make sure that we were prepared for that. And again, the services that have AML, I'm going to pick on AML. AML was the very first one. That's a big one. It doesn't matter whether you're an IMB or a bank. You've got to have your know-what together, and we didn't. And because of that because of that review, we were able to shore that up. So much that the policy's written, the policy that's reviewed, it's written, it's updated. So that's been a big help to us. Quality control. We brought QC back. We had a third party that was doing it, but it just wasn't giving us the grain. It wasn't giving us the details. So the recommendation had been bring it back in house. Now we have a full detailed QC plan that MQMR helped. They reviewed it, gave us recommendations and things of that nature. So we feel that we're in the right mode when it comes to compliance audits and things of that nature.
You have a little bit of an armor on when you go into a review with MQMR, because people know their work. And we talked about this in prep, that it's water cooler talk, right? It's one state regulated.
It's street cred, Jodi, right? It's street cred. It really is. It does give you, and a lot of agencies, they like the fact that our stuff's being reviewed. Again, we're not doing it because they like it. That just happens to be an additional byproduct. Yes, we're not just doing this. We're actually having, a third party come in and say, hey, but I like what Scott said. I'm going to resonate. I'm kind of jumping ahead. I apologize. But, you are right. It isn't an I gotcha when you work with the partnership. It really isn't it's really to prepare you and to make sure that you are in lockstep.
Yeah. And you feel like someone's got your back and not everybody's out to get you.
Exactly.
So, Scott, I read that your mission is to help your clients climb higher by bridging the gap between risk and compliance. Can you tell us what that means to Martin, to GoPrime, and also to others in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really proud of the core values that we have. Another one is to cultivate raving fans. I'll leave that up to Martin to see if we've done a good job on that one. But climb higher is definitely one of our most important core values. We try to live it every day. And to the point Martin just made about when we work with a client, we're not about saying, look how many things that we found. We are about taking a great company like GoPrime already was when we started with them, and to make them even greater. And again, compliance is a really important aspect of that, but it's not the only thing. For example, when one of the parts of the relationship with GoPrime first started, one of the things we did for them was internal audit. And I actually helped do one of the things we do when we kick off that relationship with, which is a risk assessment of the company. That risk assessment is a chance for us to dive in a little bit to each department within the operations of the company. And it helps us figure out where there might be opportunities or where we should be looking first. So when we set up that internal audit schedule for the next year and the year after that, it's as impactful as it can be for GoPrime or any other company. And it really is an opportunity to say, here's where your company is right now, right? With all these good things going on. And here's some areas over here where not that there aren't good things going on, but there could be some even better things going on. And so we want to delve more deeply into that area first, right? And again, as Martin pointed out, it is to make the company prepared for when anyone comes in and comes knocking on their door. And I think, Jodi, even taking it beyond GoPrime for a minute, there's some great examples of how we have helped our clients with this, how we've helped them climb higher and how we've helped prevent issues that might have otherwise been found. Just to give you a couple of quick examples, we had a client, and I think this is part of cultivating that relationship with the client. They were very similar to Martin's company, GoPrime, meaning they're not headquartered in California. They're headquartered much more in the Midwest, close to your neck of the woods, Jodi. They're headquartered out there, but they did a lot of loans in California, and they had an examination in California that they felt was starting to go sideways. Anyone who lends in California knows the regulators out there, or out here where I live, are very much interested in charging of per diem interest, and if that's done compliantly. And this company was going through an exam, and the examiners were saying this doesn't look right, and they were very worried. They had read about all these settlements and millions of dollars in fines and penalties. But the company, their relationship with us was such that their first thought was, could MQMR help us navigate through this? That was number one. And then our contact there happened to remember Scott lives in California, right? He lives in Crazy Town, as they call it, or whatever. And maybe he knows something about this, right? And from our perspective, that's all we need, right? They called us up. We were able to take it from there. We were able to show the regulator we've done an audit of their whole process, right? Identified all these things that the company's doing. Here's a couple areas where we're going to implement some additional procedures and checks and stops, right? To make sure that everything is completely buttoned up. So that client went from an exam that they thought was going to go who knows how far south to a letter from California that said, your exam is closed. Yeah. And that's the end of it. And so again, that's the type of value we want to provide. I'll give you one other quick example, which is I mentioned we help companies with fair lending and submitting their HMDLR. That included recently a client who, for the first time, had to report their LAR for 2024 by March 1st of this year. The company had never done it before. They didn't quite have the 20 years that Martin's company does. So this was their first time doing it. And I think they found the help that we were able to provide invaluable, right? Helping run through it. Here's your validity errors. And what does that mean? What's a validity error? You can't submit until they're all cleared up. How do we do that? And to be able to guide them through that process. Or there's other companies we've worked with where we've seen issues in their LAR. Like here's a field of data that's blank, right? Can't have it be blank. So again, I think all of that helps companies climb higher from wherever they are.
Yeah. And it gives them a great framework. And I mean, wow, everybody wants to know what the return on investment is. The example of the company in California, I've been on the other end of a California exam and writing hundreds of $1,000 check to be able to cover that per diem interest.
For sure, and having to pay for audits.
No other state has that. No other state has that requirement, and it's a foolish requirement.
Yeah,
it really is. Not to bash California. I know that's we don't want to do that on this call.
No.
So,
and if anyone out there is listening, if you take nothing else from this call, if you are just getting into California, you need to know what the guidelines are because they have very specific points that they like to focus on. So it's important to be prepared for that. I want to talk about, being in mortgages for nearly 30 years, I've had some real doozies of compliance conundrums, we will call them, California having been one of them. But Martin, are you with me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I want to emphasize, like, this is interactive. So those of you that are listening, chime in on the chat, put in your stories. We'll all be able to, recognize your pain. But feel free to chime in. Also, feel free to chime in with questions. But Martin, what have been some of nail-biting moments in mortgage compliance that you have experienced?
Well, just not having the right people answering compliance questions that become, unfortunately, people wear many hats, right, within the organization. I think compliance tends to be one of those areas where we got this covered. Well, actually, you really don't, unless you have the expertise. So having partners, we've reached out to MQMR in questions before, just to double check. We do have a compliance person, but you often need a compliance department. So we were not reporting BSA stuff. And yeah, we got hit. And that was part of the risk assessment that took place. That was another result that worked out positive from MQMR's review of us. So that's now something that's in place. Now it's on the SharePoint. The right people have those. When you're sitting there and you don't have it done, you don't have it done, and the person's looking at it, I won't say the words that are going through your head, but that it is. That's the time you don't want to have that happen, but it has happened, right? So we've experienced those things, but it's all about how you correct it. So on the flip side of that, we actually had North Carolina, which is our biggest audit, came in. They actually wanted to come in to the office.
The on-site exam.
So okay, we have nothing to hide. We feel pretty strong about this. And I'm not there. I'm in the Twin Cities, but I flew in for that, and I worked with the gentleman that I work with, our chief operating officer, and they obviously gave us everything they needed, all the prep, and we provided it, and it was a 3-day is what they were scheduled for. It lasted 4 hours, and the reason why it lasted 4 hours was that gentleman, that auditor, he was extremely complimentary of our procedures, how they were written, the recommendations that we had, the QC plan, the audit, all of those things have the last several years have come to play, right? So walking out of that audit was, wow. I mean, we were amazed. It was great to have that. So that is another reason why and we explained that our stuff is being reviewed by a third party and we go through these iterations. So again, walking out of that audit, knowing that this gentleman they were supposed to be there for 3 days. They were gone within the first day. And that was a testament to just the good partnership that we've had. We've come a pretty good far way from where we were, a few years ago, which is
that's a huge win.
It was.
Absolutely.
One of the things that you mentioned, and one of the resources a lot of the members of TMC use, and I know, Scott, this isn't your area, but tell us about the compliance help desk, because that is like a heavily used resource of MQMR.
Absolutely. And I love talking about it, Jodi, because it allows me to mention Mike Barone and Marie O'Brien, the two people who spearhead that team on the origination side. They're absolutely brilliant. And again, that product is basically what happens is a lender pays a very cost-effective fee every month, and they get any type of help that they need from a compliance perspective. So again, things like Martin said, is it reviewing policies, right? Or even helping to draft policies if there's one a company needs but doesn't have. It's answering questions, not only more generally about process, are we doing the right thing here? As an example, last year, when all those appraisal bias and ROV requirements all became effective around the same time, right? Fannie, Freddie, and HUD, and we know Fannie and Freddie are still there. We'll see for how long. But are we doing the right thing here? Can you review our policy or even the ROV form? Can you even look at the forms? Or just answering questions down at the individual loan level, right? This loan failed Maven. in Encompass? How do we resolve it, right? What's the plan? Or again, if you're going through an exam, the examiner asks this question, what's the right answer to that question? All of those things and more. And I will tell you, when I talk to companies who are using them, it's so much fun because no one ever says that they're good or they're great. They say two other things. They say they're the best people I've ever worked with. And they also say it's like they work directly for my company, right? They're like, I know they help other companies besides mine, but it feels like they work just for my company. So Jodi, the last thing I would add is one of the things that I do, that my team and I work on, is we have the same exact service on the servicing side, right? Okay. So Mike and Marie's team handles the origination side, but for servicing compliance, we do that as well, right? Yeah. And so my team and I provide the same exact type of help and value on the servicing side.
I have used that service and I have put clients over to that service, and I honestly don't know how, as small as they are, that they can spend the amount of time that they do with individual clients. So kudos to them. So
absolutely.
Went into a little bit of a shift. Martin, GoPrime joined TMC Network in 2019, but TMC's winter conference in Dallas just last month was your very first TMC conference. What was your favorite experience and or takeaway that you had?
It's more of a general, I think what was great was I just like the overall setting. I without sounding corny, but I'm going to sound corny anyway, it really was collaborative. Because I've been to multitude of conferences. Conferences really serve a purpose, but I walked away with wanting to make sure that we are going to these on a regular basis. But it was extremely collaborative in terms of just dialing in with like companies. I thought that was important, along with, hey, some are bigger, some are smaller, but you didn't feel out of place. It was just a very, I'm going to call out to Sarah Wood, who reached out to me specifically. She did a great job of just connecting, and when we introduced, it was great to put the face with the name. So it's not hard to get up with somebody. So making that part easier. I thought that the vendors were great. Usually when you're looking on the schedule, like, I don't want to sit through that. I don't want to be this. I don't want to that. And it's not like that at all. And I like the time. Everybody had 6 minutes, boom, in and out. But then also the actual, they weren't workshops or discussions with other lenders, discussion points. I really did. I was busy. I didn't have any downtime, and you can connect with people. We actually walked away with 2 other vendors that we're going to work with that we've been connected with before. So it was great. It was good just to hone in on that even more. So I thought it was well done.
Yeah. And thank you to Sarah. Our member engagement team have been with us for a very long time. They all are amazing at their jobs. And thanks to Sarah for taking care of the GoPrime team. And Scott, you've been a member of TMC for some time and have attended many of our conferences and others, but what has been your greatest takeaway over the years at attending TMC conferences?
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm going to say a couple things. One on the more substantive, work-related side, and then one from a personal experience as well. But on the work side, we've been a member, I think 8-9 years now, and I've been attending conferences, I think since post-COVID, since 2021. And what I love about it is not only do we get the chance from a lender and the vendor partner perspective alike to be able to pass on knowledge and share information just like we're doing today, but at the conference full of people who were there to learn and talk about their challenges. And then to echo Martin's point, to be able to have the chance to talk to companies, not to say, can you sign up for this or that, please, but just to say, what are you challenged by, right? What are the things that you're spending a lot of time worrying about, or things that you don't have enough time to do that someone might be able to help you with? That's my biggest takeaway. And I walk away from these conferences and then I get these emails, right? Saying I met you at the conference, or my boss met you at the conference and he or she gave me your contact info. And that happens all the time. And I think the same thing. It's another company we get to help. Lastly, though, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention these conferences are also fun. And I will use the example of one of them last year in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm a huge baseball fan, as you might be able to see behind me. And there was an excursion to the Louisville Slugger Museum, which was a first. I'd never been to Kentucky at all. It was an amazing experience. Among other things, I held a bat that was used in a game by Babe Ruth. I mean, Jodi, to be able to do this great thing from a work perspective and be able to have that fun of an experience, I just can't encourage it enough for everybody to go to the conferences.
Yeah, the venue was good. It was
so good.
It was good. Just to chime in on that.
We've kind of taken on a baseball theme. So we did the Louisville Slugger Museum.
Yeah.
We did the Rangers, did private tour and threw ball on the outfield of Rangers Stadium in Arlington, Texas. And then for those of you who are members, you need to get registered for conference. For those of you who are interested in becoming members, please reach out to the TMC team. But we're going to continue that theme in September, where we are attending the Yankees Red Sox game at Fenway Park. So
I've never been to Fenway, Jodi, so I couldn't be more excited.
There we go. Go Yankees.
Yeah. Good. And he's a Yankees fan. How can we be even more?
I have no dog in that
different?
Fight.
So
okay, that's what makes the world go round. That's what makes the world go.
We are over time, but thank you both again for joining the 6th edition of the SIP, sponsored by MQMR. You all can find us here next week on Tuesday, April the 29th. Can't wait to see you. But speaking of compliance and compliance working groups, that starts in 29 minutes. So if you're a member and you're a compliance junkie, you better make sure that you're on that call. But thank you all for who turned in and witnessed industry-changing collaboration that will drive us forward for the future. Until next time.
Thanks, Jodi. Thanks, Martin. Bye, everyone.